Welcome. We're going to go ahead and reconvene our meeting of February 9, 2016 of the San Benito County Board of Supervisors. County Council, if you can report out from our closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Board of Supervisors met in closed session this morning to discuss agenda items number 1 through 5 on today's agenda. In regards to agenda item number 1, the board met and conferred with legal counsel regarding existing litigation pursuant to subdivision A and D1 of Government Code section 54956.9. In the case of the County of San Benito versus Christina M. Martinez et al., filed in the Superior Court of California in the County of San Benito under case number CU 15-00063. At this time, the board took no reportable action. Agenda item number 2, the board met and conferred with its labor negotiators. Those designated representatives were Allison Hauk, Ray Espinoza, Joe Paul Gonzalez, Melinda Casillas, Georgia Cochran, and Steve Coffey. The employee organizations involved were the Institutions Association, Law Enforcement Management, Management Employees Group, SEIU Local 521, the General Unit Employees, the Deputy Sheriff's Association, SEIU United Long-Term Care Workers Local 6434, the unrepresented employees, confidential management, and appointed department heads. The authority to meet can be found in California Government Code Section 54957.6. At this time, the board took no reportable action. In regards to agenda item number 3, the board met and conferred with its real property negotiators regarding property located at 1161 San Felipe Road under APN 019-040-017-000, located in Hollister, California. The agency negotiators were Brent Barnes, the RMA director, Joe Horwedel, Interwest Consulting Group, Ray Espinoza, CAO, Joe Paul Gonzalez, clerk, recorder, auditor, James Riding Sword, Health and Human Services Director, Matthew Granger, County Counsel, Barbara Thompson, Assistant County Counsel, and Shirley Murphy, Deputy County Counsel. The negotiating party was Thor Willis, CBRE, Inc. Under negotiation was the price and terms of payment. The authority to meet can be found in California Government Code Section 54956.8, and at this time the board took no reportable action. Agenda item number 4, the board met and conferred with legal counsel regarding existing litigation under subdivisions A and D1 of 54956.9. The name of the case is BMC Promiseway, LLC, doing business as Benchmark Communities versus the County of San Benito, the City of Hollister, filed in the Superior Court of California in the County of San Benito under case number CU 15-00056. At this time, the board took no reportable action. And finally, agenda item number 5, the board met and conferred with legal counsel in closed session regarding existing litigation pursuant to subdivisions A and D1 of section 54956.9. The case is Award Homes, Inc. versus the County of San Benito and the City of Hollister et al., filed in the Superior Court of California in the County of San Benito under cause number CU 15-0099. At this time, the board voted unanimously, 5-0, to file a new trial motion in front of Judge Tobias and to file a notice of appeal. Thank you.
Thank you, Counsel. So now we'll move on to our public comment opportunity. This is the opportunity for the public to address the board on items of interest not appearing on the agenda. Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, Keith Snow. And I'm going to provide him a microphone. Mr. Snow.
Hello, Warren. My name is Keith Snow, residency officer. I'm here today, and not here some legal, like laws against can't see or, but I am here for, I think it's on agenda, about streamline and online. Things are put a thing on the public comment card. But one thing I am here too, it's called citizenship. Be more connected with the city and the county. So I said before, but I never heard nothing back from Robert about certain people can meet with the city and the county. I've been mentioning that to connect with the city and the county is for the citizens, residents. So then we can come back to you or read the report. But what I've been noticing a lot, roads, you guys want to measure and I do oppose for roads in the city and the county. And then one thing I've been noticing, RC's been losing out something that's coming up here. It's a solar thing over there, with the Espinos or whatever. And you guys $6 million tax thing for years. But I feel the city is one of the fire chief bought compo by the situation. I got nothing back on that part. But what I do notice, that the roads do need to fix. But I feel between the city, the county, you guys should not oppose any tax to any citizen on our city. By the fact they can't afford the water bill, any bills, right? I know you guys pay bills, but I like what you did last when you became chair in the city. But the vice chair, Mr. De La Cruz over there, he said he's come see me. I'll call him all the time. I'm very anti-Patel, and Jerry Muzzer, and March and all the rest. But I call you, baby. You shouldn't get back to me. It's to connect with a citizen like me, right? But the point is, right? When one say against me, someone, and like it took a while, years for March to see me, she likes my ideas and all that. But for a fact is, when they can do something, they can do it, right? See, Mr. De La Cruz, right now, as for me to meet you.
Okay,
right?
Mr. Snow,
Thank
that's
you.
the end of
I know.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
And Mr. Chairman, we have Aurelio Zuniga.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Aurelio Zuniga. What I would like to do is I'd like to comment on what I consider the misuse of Measure E bond funds by the Board of Trustees at Gavilan College. Prop 39 states that before they vote, that the voters will be provided with a list of specific projects that their bond funds will be used for. And currently, Gavilan College is expending Measure E bond funds on a project that was not on the list of specific projects approved by the voters. That project is the South Bay Public Safety Training Consortium, or the Police Academy. Spending Measure E bond funds on this project is a clear violation of Prop 39. Okay, thank you. On November 25th, 2013, the Oversight Committee members are told that the Police Academy would be moving from Evergreen Valley College to the satellite site at Coyote Valley. No funding was discussed. Then at the February 24th, 2014 Citizens Oversight Committee, President Kinsella tells the members that because they are not getting matching funds for the library and the theater, that they can't wait long enough for the library to get funded by the state and can't justify holding the money because they would be too far out from the date that they funded the bond. So he told them, so we've taken that money and the unexpended money to set up the South Bay Public Safety Training Consortium at Coyote Valley. What he didn't tell them was that there was no matching funds for the Police Academy either, and also that there would not be enough Measure E funds to complete the project. And finally, he didn't tell them that the Police Academy was not on the list of specific projects approved by the voters. Therefore, spending bond funds on this project was a violation of Prop 39. Then in an article in the Freelance on June 19th, 2014, President Kinsella says that the bond did not set aside money for construction at the satellite sites. That meant the college would have to find another source of funding. He also stated that the money they had from the bond wasn't to do anything more than buy the land. And yet, 3 weeks later, on July 8, 2014, the board approved spending money on the academy. What President Kinsella was telling the public was one thing, and yet what he and the Board of Trustees were doing was the exact opposite. And then finally, on January 12, 2016, the auditors concluded that Gavilan College was in compliance with Prop 39 and that they had expended bond funds only, oh my goodness, already?
If you
Only for the
wrap up, Aurelio.
only for the authorized and specific projects contained in the bond. I find the auditors' results highly questionable. How could the auditors conclude that Gavilan College was in compliance with Prop 39 when it has been shown that the South Bay Public Safety Training Consortium, the police academy, was not on the list of specific projects approved by the voters? And the answer is quite simple. The South Bay Public Safety Training Consortium was conveniently omitted from the Measure E bond project listings that was provided to the auditors. It appears to me that it was omitted so that Gavilan College would get the desired results from the audit. I call that deception. More importantly, is withholding critical information from the auditor to obtain an invalid audit, is that legal? Personally, I don't believe it is. The actions of President Kinsella and the board need to be investigated concerning the improper use of Measure E bond funds. Thank you.
Thanks, Aurelio.
We have Marty Richmond.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Marty Richmond from Hollister. I'd like to ride on Mr. Zuniga's previous statements for a little bit. We're not in cahoots. We didn't come here with a plan that I would say the same thing. We just happen to be here on the same subject. I don't believe any of you had the opportunity to be at the Gavilan meeting the other night here in Hollister, where some board members came down to discuss this with us. And the amount of disappointment I had out of that meeting is unfathomable. Basically, they told us, too bad. That was the message. Too bad. We used the money somewhere else. I since have gotten a copy of the budget. All the Measure E funds are either expended or obligated. The total planning funds for the Hollister Education Center was less than $10,000 in the whole budget. Now, as people who see what it takes to plan something here every day or every week, when you have people come forward and say, I want to do this, you know how much planning $9,625 will buy. Nothing. And that's what we got, nothing. We own $8 million worth of land. They put $2 million worth of environmental work on that land so they could share that with the Coyote Valley as a joint mitigation. Otherwise, we wouldn't even have that. And basically, all the money for Measure E is obligated somewhere else. There's $20 million left. Almost 11 of it is going to Coyote Valley, which would bring that to $34 million in Coyote Valley. Plus, they're promising to give the Police Academy a $10 million loan with a special deal for payback. I can't give you the details because they haven't even published them yet. That would be $44 million into Coyote Valley alone. I want to point out that Coyote Valley land was originally budgeted at $8.4 million. They spent $21 million and change for the land alone in Coyote Valley. Now, with all due respect to the Board of Trustees, only an idiot would buy the most environmentally belabored land to put a college on. You don't buy a piece of land in Beverly Hills to put a college on because it's too expensive. And you don't buy a piece of land in the environmentally protected Coyote Valley to put a college on because it's too expensive. You can't use half the land because it's all locked up as watershed land. And the other part of it, the city of San Jose said, we are never developing that. So basically what they did is they took the money and they gambled with it. They bet that Coyote Valley was going to have those 85,000 people, and it never happened. Thank you very much.
Are there any other members of the public that wish to speak? Okay. Thank you for those comments, Marty. Moving on, look to our CAO for our department head announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we do have one announcement out of administration, and that is to remind the board that we do have a board retreat scheduled for February 18th. The location of that board retreat will be 1131 San Felipe Road. That's the Behavior Health Building and Conference Room. So I just wanted to make sure the board was aware of that. That's all the announcements we have, Mr. Chair.
Excellent. Thank you, Ray. Moving on to item E, board announcements. Start to my left with Supervisor Barrios.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just want to say that I attended the Pajaro River Watershed Flood Prevention Authority, and I'm happy to announce that we have been gearing up to buy 9,100 acres of the floodplain in the Soap Lake area, and we recently acquired another 100 acres, which brings it to 50% of acquisition. And what that does, that area protects the water, the area that flows into the Pajaro River, and then in turn flooding over at the levee in the Santa Cruz and Monterey counties. So that was really quite encouraging to see that we're there now. We still have 45 acres to go, but we're working on those. And we also got word that the Army Corps of Engineers has actually given us a timeline. You know how slow they are in coming forward with saying and committing. They have committed to a timeline to approve the design of the levee, which then will give us the opportunity to secure funds at the federal level. So that's really encouraging news because we know that any flooding there will affect the economy of the whole region. The second thing, I know I have one more. If you could just bear with me. IT ad hoc committee has met, and we have discussed many things regarding IT. We know that there is a great need and that we're behind the times, but we're moving. Hopefully we will have a needs assessment coming soon. I believe that will probably be a topic at our retreat.
It is.
And, for further discussion, we want to talk about 5 to 10-year plan, immediate needs, but long-term needs as well, financing. All of that is key to making sure that San Benito County is on the right path for technology that is much needed, as we all know. So, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Supervisor Barrios. Supervisor De La Cruz.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Real quick, we met, the Vets Commission met on February the 1st, and the key item of discussion was about the use of the Vets Memorial Park, and we had a very well represented crowd. We had a lot of members of the community there that represented the softball, baseball, and soccer league, and it's proved that there is a demand for more softball fields and more soccer fields and baseball fields out in the community because we're at capacity, and we need to really work more on building more parks, more open space, more recreational facilities for our community. And that's what came out of the Vets Commission. The other item, Mr. Chair, is I don't know how to do this, but through you, Mr. Chair, is it a wise decision for us to actually put an item on the agenda and discuss the Gavilan College situation, because it's kind of like getting steamed out on the community? So I'm asking for leadership, Mr. Chair. How are we going to handle that?
Okay, let me, I'll have a conversation with our administrative staff, and we'll prepare an agenda item.
Okay, perfect.
Where,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. You're welcome. Supervisor Munzer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The San Benito County COG Board met last week on Thursday. We had two presentations, one about some alternates for Highway 25 from San Felipe to the county line and into Santa Clara County. Some scenarios were presented, and I was very encouraged by it. I'm very encouraged because Caltrans is part of that negotiations, and we're working on some alternatives. Also, we received a presentation of the sales tax measure it looks like we have about a 67% approval rate for a sales tax, and the sales tax would consist of a 0.5% for 30 years. It would raise approximately $8 million annually, and as I said, would last for 30 years. And the board has earmarked half of that to go to Highway 25, which would basically be $120 million. We also have received the report on the increased traffic impact fees, which will be coming before us very soon. With that, we should be able to make a dent in the issues of Highway 25, including probably an overpass of some nature at 156 and 25. I'm very encouraged by the reports. Timeline, the COG board will be meeting on February 18th again to do the final discussions. We'll have a special meeting, I believe, on the 23rd, and this board will have a resolution putting the sales tax on the ballot on our March 8th meeting. So everything is moving forward. We have a great stakeholder group working with us, and I believe everything is moving forward on that.
Okay. Well, thank you for the update. Supervisor Bertello.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and a very good report from my colleague, Supervisor Munzer, on the COG meeting. And what's very encouraging is that, the county and the two cities are working very closely together to be successful in this special tax. It's very clear that all of us have to go out and push for this. It's not going to just happen. And I know, being up for election myself this cycle, I'm going to go out to my constituents and urge them to vote positively for this special tax. It'd be a lot of good, not only for Highway 25, but the maintenance and fixing the potholes and pavement management that we have to do on our county roads. We're in agreement on how the money is to be split. And we just need to go forward. It's a working partnership. A lot of road projects that people need to realize is a joint effort between the county and City of Hollister. And we have delivered projects in the past together, and we're continuing to do so going into the future. But we need some, resources to, manage this very valuable asset to the county. And, after, along the same topic, I attended the business council meeting, and, our COG staff did a great presentation to the business council on last Thursday during lunch, and they had a vote, which I think the outcome was 20 to 1 in support of the sales tax. So above and beyond the stakeholders group, we have the business community that's support this, as well as they recognize that roads and transportation is a valuable part of economic development in San Bernardino County. We also had Supervisor Munzer and I had a fire committee meeting, and reason I bring this up is one of the reports is that we have to start paying attention to the condition of our apparatuses or fire engines, and they're starting to age a little bit, and our staff, along with city staff, have to develop a strategy as far as replacement, and that kind of leads into another committee that Supervisor De La Cruz and myself share, is the impact fees committee, and we also met last week. It was a busy week for me, and we're making good progress as far as bringing our impact fees up to date. I believe our staff is getting ready to bring the library impact fee forward, if not the next meeting, the first meeting in March. I'm not sure. And that is very encouraging in the fact that we do need more resources and revenue for, the library. Our community is growing, and, new development ought to be paying its fair share for that. Also, hopefully, we could bring that fee and have the city of Hollister adopt it as well. So we have, some of the city, they want to step up and be a partner. Now's the time to step up and be a partner, adopt an impact fee, and pay their fair share into our library resources. Let's see, what else do I have here? Intergovernmental committee met last Thursday as well, and there was quite a bit of a long discussion about development, and I think it's worthwhile having this conversation because development affects the city of Hollister that's out in the unincorporated areas, and the city of Hollister's development really affects us as well as far as providing services to the whole community. And the representatives from the city of Hollister was concerned about the schools and transportation around the schools, particularly on Santa Ana and Buena Vista, and the mistakes that were made in the past. And I don't necessarily blame the city on that or the county. And what it points out to is the necessity that when the school district does plan a new school, that they are in dialogue with both the city planning and the county planning to make sure that the transportation connections is adequate to handle the additional, traffic that schools create. And that hasn't happened in the past. It needs to happen in the future. I know our resource management agency is putting together, a meeting that brings department heads together as far as the development process to make sure adverse impacts are addressed and concerns are met. This is a positive step forward, and I think that's a help a lot going into the future. And the last item, which will be brought to us probably later on in March, is a little bit more of a discussion on, I guess, the aquatic park and its impact on our regional park plans and our partnerships along those lines. And that is something that I think we need to bring back to this full board and see how that, works with our regional park efforts. So it was a very interesting week for me last week, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor. I myself have no announcements. We'll move on to our consent agenda. Are there any supervisors that wish to pull an item from the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to pull number 9, and I just have a couple of questions for Brent.
Okay, we will pull 9. Supervisor De La Cruz?
None, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Munzer?
None.
Mr. Patello?
No.
Okay, are there any members from the public that wish to pull any items from consent? Seeing none, we will go ahead and pull 9 for now. If I could get a motion to approve 6, 7, 8.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve amended consent.
The remainder. And then we have a second. There's a first and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So now we'll go back to number 9. Supervisor Barrios.
Brand, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The only question that I have is I know that we are giving approval that it's okay to close the certain sections of Flynn Road for the air show.
Yes, ma'am.
But that there may be a problem in 2017 because we're going to be under construction. But does that mean that once the construction is over and we are housing additional people on the addition to the jail that we...
Pull your
Oh,
mic
I'm
closer.
sorry. I thought it was on.
There you go.
It wasn't in front of me. Okay, that will never be able to be closed off for the air show. So what would be the alternative?
No, I don't think that's, excuse me. Wow. I believe Well, let me take a half a step back. The property that's being closed for the air show is the northeast corner of the Flynn Road property that we own, the very large rectangle there. This is not over the jail itself. It is very likely not over the construction area, the expansion area itself. We're only concerned that there would be construction activity during the air show, and we want to make sure that those two things are physically separated. So my understanding and recollection is that the property that would be impacted by the air show in future years would not be over the jail facility itself. We will double check that, of course, but I don't believe that the jail itself would be impacted. If there were windows, the inmates would have a lovely view of the air show, but right there close, but not directly overhead.
So it's only the construction time that we are concerned with?
Yes.
Yeah, because of the
For right
activity
now,
that
that's
construction brings?
I believe so.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You've answered my questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Excellent. And thank you, Mr. Barnes. Is there any member of the public wish to comment on this item? Mr. Snow, do you want to provide a comment? Okay. Hold on one second, sir.
I'm really kind of for the air show and how I think they can't. What's the guy supposed to make a jail over there with the extra property? What's supposed to build a jail over there, or we're saying guys supposed to build over there in the property at the airport or wherever? But one thing about the air show and what they do, I mean, we have code enforcement and all that, and we lose money, taxpayer money. Peter, I support it because not for the 5 days they do the air show. But one thing that I do, the concern, not just for me, represent the people and the feedback, talk about the air show, they lose money. When you do things, any sports event, like the background, things we do, we marketplace and that more, we also lose money. And that's a very concern as a taxpayer, right, taxpayers, they lose money. So the fact is, you got to support their show. I think the art in the construction, I mean, they show off in their show. But the point is right. I mean, the air show is the air show, and, times they can do their show, the weather conditions, the times they do it, rains and stuff like that. But the point is right, about the concern is the taxpayers, right? And see the funds, kind of fund, what it is, special events to do, lose money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Snow. Is there any other member of the public that wish to comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll accept the motion.
Move to approve, Mr. Chair,
Is there
per
a
staff
second?
recommendation.
Second.
Okay, first and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So moving to our regular agenda, item number 13. Is there a member from San Benito Rising here? I don't see anybody here. This item I don't believe requires any action. I was contacted by a member of San Benito Rising to place this item on the agenda as the organization would like to present our county and this board a check of $684 for legal expenses that the county incurred to defend Measure J. So certainly we appreciate their generosity, and I'm sure we should receive that check anytime.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, you just want to just leave it there until the end of the day, and then if they show up, we'll...
Yeah, we can always come back to that, but this agenda item was specifically for them. Why they're not here, I can't answer that. I don't know, but we certainly appreciate their generosity.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. I thought that any time that we received anything from the public, whether it be funds or otherwise, that we do, for the record, had to accept it formally.
Okay, sure.
I may be wrong. Do we,
Yes.
Counsel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can make a motion to accept it.
Okay.
Excellent. So is there a motion to accept this generous donation?
I'll make that motion to accept.
Or
There's one.
I apologize. Are there comments from members of the public on this item? Mr. Snow?
Go ahead and blame it on you.
I really want to know if I was on the Rising with Chairman Muzzer, that support the Rising. Yes, I'm banning the oil thing in the county. But what gets me is, right, when that happened, as the manager of the McDonald's, whatever, as some meeting on the Rising, yes, Jay were banning. I want to attend that meeting, right? And I support yes, Jay ban oil in the county. But what gets me is on the oil thing going in the county, like our the fields over there or anything like that happening. And on that part there, do you know that Farm Bureau, where the LG law firm, Paul, was a on Jay? The one, do you know that they're involved in the whole shebang? On the whole shebang, on that part. I did a lot of research, facts, and all. Documents in my office and all to support the allegation, but two facts. So what I mean by a lot of confusion, and what gets me messing my mail or the post office, I never got the invitation when they had that going on. I should attend the meeting over there, that part. But the point is, right, as you guys get into that, we passed a vote by voters. No oil thing going in the county or city, in the city or county. Is this still going on? And already gets implement the law. So I'm glad the Rising, I'm with the Rising of the Round Table Pizza, right? And I forwarded that measure. But I want you guys to do that. Let's uphold the law. Because they're upset by suing the county and all this and that. And where's the boss of that? I made the email to him. I was intending to sue them for that. Because I voted yes on Jay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Snow. Are there any other comments from the public? Mr. Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Oh, congratulations on your chairmanship, sir. Board members, this item mentioned a donation for legal fees for the defense of Measure J. Is there any number for how much the county has spent so far on the defense of Measure J? Simple question. How much? Thank you for your time, and I appreciate some form of answer.
That was the correct number that was spent by outside counsel on the complaint that was filed by Citadel against the county relating to Measure J.
Thank you, counsel. Okay, with that, are there any other some comments by members of the public? Members of the board? Any comments? Okay, at this time, I will accept a motion for this item and this donation of $684.
I'll make a motion to approve the contribution to Samuel County.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries 5-0. So moving to 14, I'll look to our administrative staff. Ms. Fontenot.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. I'm pretty excited to talk about this item with you today. It is the County Administrative Manual. So what I'm going to explain first is what exactly you have before you, the journey I took to kind of get to what's before you, and hopefully what our final product will look like. So what you have before you is an initiating policy for a county administrative manual. What I'm hoping this to be, as per the direction of our CAO, is the framework setting up this manual for future use. So you'll notice the chapter and structure sections and a policy template that's adopted. So we are setting in place the motion for this item to be created. So originally when I started, which I hate to admit, when I was given this project was about 2 years ago. So one reason why I'm so happy to have it for you today, it's getting there. Ray asked for a county administrative manual for the purposes of clarity and organization. As you can imagine, as department heads and major management players, even board members and members of committees and commission are moving over or turning over, sometimes the action of that committee or board or even department head is lost because it's not organized or saved in one central location. So we're hoping that this manual will maintain that foundation and not lose it moving forward, so we're constantly building on the policies that are adopted, again, either by the board, a commission, or department head. Additionally, you can imagine that there's lots of resolutions that are passed, statements of actions that are said that are just simply lost in general because either the board has fully changed over or there's just resolutions aren't typically codified. So hopefully this will organize all of those things for us. The format that we set up for you also was another point of the intent of a policy. I'm hoping that with the template in front of you, it sets up a foundation for people to explain why the policy is being set up, the whole argument of letter versus spirit of the law. At least we have an idea of the background of why a policy came into place. So you'll notice in this policy setup that there are certain sections required for a policy to come before administration and the board. The title. I want to talk to you about why I have come to the point of a county administrative manual rather than a board of supervisors policy manual. Now you'll notice in the chapters in front of you there's actually a section for the board of supervisors, a specific chapter. I had trouble leaning towards a board of policy manual simply because of this. Would that then mean that a department head wanting to set something up in his or her department specifically would always have to come before the board? And the truth is not necessarily so. The intent of this is that if it's a county-wide impact, then yes, there is a reason to bring it before the board so that everybody can adopt the similar thing. An example I can give you is when to apply for grants. That is something that the board could look at and adopt, and a place that would be organized is in a manual like this in the Board of Supervisors chapter. You'll notice in the other areas, again, there are reserved parts for department heads. So if you're curious to what maybe is happening in a department, then we're providing the section for that department to place those policies and procedures so that it's accessible to everybody and understood by everyone. So I'm hoping that you'll see that in a county administrative manual, it's a hybrid of those two things. What the board has said is the direction to this county for spending, for programs, etc., and then specifically sections on how departments are implementing that policy. So, again, the reason why county administrative manual rather than full Board of Supervisors policy manual, because there will be certain chapters that are led by the departments. So moving forward, we talked about the chapters. I want to show you, and I think they took it down, I apologize, the final product of what this should look like. We are hoping that it is fully online. I actually looked at quite a few different counties, and I had to keep in mind the difference between the general and charter counties and administrative code versus general counties not having that. So the county of San Diego actually has a very nice setup. And, of course, theirs is a Board of Supervisors policy manual, but that's okay. But this, right here, apologize, is what I'm hoping will be the end product that the clerk of the board would maintain. So you notice the sections here that would be similar to the chapters you have on the second page of the item before you. So it would set up there. Everything's clickable to a certain section. So, for example, we'll just go to A. It simply will list those policies specific to that area. So again, what is before you today is just this beginning piece of creating the placeholders for those policies. Now, there will be a huge organization piece that comes through that puts the policies we already have in existence in these sections to be determined by the clerk of the board for organization. So again, it is just initiation. So if there's questions, clarity is needed, you don't care for the language here, I'd love to discuss that with you. So at the very least, we can get this going. So as other policies are coming along, like social media, we have the placeholders for them so it's accessible and easily implemented by all.
Okay. Are there questions from members of the public? From members of the board.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So that the example you just showed us, it's kind of hard to see from my angle here. Okay. But like, for instance, on the template that we have in our packet, you have Chapter 0100 Board of Supervisors Policy. And so those are subsections then of the same type of chapter. You would break, for example, with policies, there's numerous policies that we go through. And would that be broken out in subsections in a particular chapter?
Correct.
Okay, got it. That's good. I really like this idea.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may. So I can tell you, when I first started in administration about 3 years ago, it was extremely frustrating. Hours and hours of administrative work just searching for policy, what's active, and we really need to have a central location, where to go, and just be a lot more efficient, really, when it comes down to it. We don't have enough personnel to continue to look and search and reinventing the wheel, so to speak. So
right.
This is
no.
one
I think
avenue.
this is. I agree with you 100%. I'm really pleased to see this. I want to thank staff for having the intuition and the initiative to get this process done. I remember when I was first elected in 2010, and I had all my meetings with all the different department heads and staff members, and I would ask them, well, why do you guys do this? Well, this is the way we've always done it. So I said, this is a county, unfortunately, that's all operated on previous practice rather than on maybe the best policy. And so I think that this is certainly, I see this as the transition to that, which is going to have a significant improvement for members of our public who need information from our county. If we can begin to streamline the process within all our departments, I think is going to be a fantastic opportunity for our county. Are there any other members that have comments?
Just to thank you, because this is a lot of work, and I know this is only the beginning. There's still a lot more work to be done, but I see the correlation between this and all the IT stuff that we want to accomplish, and this is only part of it, a small part, but I think this will serve our public, our community quite well. Yeah. So thank you to staff. It's a lot of work, and I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. At this time, I'll take some comments from the public.
Jennifer, one thing that I asked and raise another info, I keep asking them, and mention to Barbara too, and Matt, if they send me a copy of what they're doing, I can win the streamline them and website I did my one thing I mentioned them. It's called Wix.com. It's for free for the people. They can make their own website. Then all they do is clean out for free. And then you want to start doing your own business or whatever, or cards yourself, or you pay like $10 a month. It's a good thing to do. So any policies like what you do now, I've announced in Joe Paul. I've been calling them at the secretary and everything, but no return back like De La Cruz. So we have to be more connected with the public. I'm Matt. I'm Barbara. Thank you. Ray Spinoza, you're late. De La Cruz, you're really late. I will connect with the citizenship. So we need to educate ourselves to more communication with the citizens and the people. I'm a very blunt person, but I'm 50 years old, and not to be rude or nothing to the board or whatever, but I think for the feedback for calls and the other stuff I called transportation Mary Gilbert, but she never called back either lately. But she's in the meeting there, but a doctor, but she's a busy lady. But thank you, the board. But I want to speak out and say that to you guys. And what you guys are doing, I'll read. If you send me an email, kisawama.com, right? Thank you very much. If you can please so kind of send that to me, my email. Right, thanks.
Are there any other members of the public who wish to comment on this item? See none. I will accept the motion.
So move as
Second.
recommended by staff.
First and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to item 15, which I believe is...
Yes. So this is pretty much the first of the administrative manual to be adopted, and it is the sunset review policy. So we at least want to have the initiating piece for certain things to be reviewed on a normal basis. So this starts a 10-year cycle, but this does not mean that as other policies are created and added that it will always be the 10-year cycle. What will most likely be coming back to you is a schedule that's more specific to certain things. For example, budget priorities for the board for fiscal year 16-17 could be adopted in the form of a statement of action or resolution, which would be put in your chapter. That obviously wouldn't be for more than a year, so that cycle would be different from the standard, but that is all this policy is so far. There is a version history on all of these for these things to be amended in the future to recognize those changes. If there's any questions?
Any questions of members of the board? Nope. Any comments from members of the public? Okay.
When we mentioned the budget and the policy making, like city, when you do a budget, right, it's supposed to be answer budget, right? But you guys they can't predict what's happening in the future, like the sun comes up. And when you do policy, and like this policy before, are there an ordinance, right? And bills where, the legislator or... So, are you ever gonna, when you do this thing you guys are doing, are you guys ever, when this come are you on the budget, what are you doing on your budget? What do you make sure it's efficient and balanced?
Okay. With that, I will accept a motion.
Move to approve, Mr. Chair, per staff
Is there a second?
recommendation.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to item 16, which I believe is Melinda.
Good morning. Before you have a resolution to adopt the new MOU between the County of San Benito and the Institutions Agency, I just wanted to point out a couple of items. This basically mirrors the same MOU as SEIU signed. It allows for a 25-36 bonus, a 2% COLA October of 2016, 50 hours of vacation cash out, 25 hours now, and 25 hours in July. Holiday closure hours, they are agencies that cannot close, obviously, for 24 hours at a time. So in lieu of that, they receive holiday hours. The same language in the medical terms, the ability basically to leave CalPERS. And then also the G-STEP goes into effect after 1 year if eligible, and you are not eligible after if you were hired after, I believe it is October 2013. So basically, it's the same language now as we have with the SEIU. Any questions?
Any questions of members of the board? Are there any comments from members of the public?
Marty Richmond, from Hollister. I'd like to use this opportunity to talk about something a little more general, but since it's related to the MOUs that you have with your employees, I think it's apropos. So my question would be this: are these MOUs drawn? As I understand, we have three floating holidays. If I'm not mistaken, I'm doing this out of the top of my head. If the board decided to take one of the floating holidays and make that the Cesar Chavez holiday on either the Friday or the Monday closest to his birthday, the end of March, would that mean that all these MOUs would have to be, well, I'll use a specific one because we're talking about a specific one. I'll assume it just applies to all the rest. Would this MOU have to be renegotiated? I'll take my answer from my seat. Thank you very much. Oops, excuse me.
Yes. Yeah, but it would have to be so the short answer is yes, they would have to be. It would be meet and confer or renegotiate.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have a comment from Mr. Snow.
Short question.
Oh, this will be a short question to you. Didn't you say about buyouts and all that too? I mean, like a buyouts and all that too. Do you mention about like a buyouts and stuff like that? As he did like a buyouts and all that. Something about buyouts. Did you mention something about buyouts and all that?
I believe what Mr. Snow is asking about is the provision in the MOU about the cash outs.
Cash outs, yeah.
Yeah.
See, one thing about the buyouts, right? See, did that too. Like they got that idea, but see, Los Angeles wants to live out, right? So on the buyouts, when someone want to buy some housing capital, medical, and the retirement, or whatever, when someone retires, well, I don't get it, right? When you buy out your position, and it's ridiculous how our city does, or you can come back 2 years later, we may hire you back. I figure you guys should make on this thing you guys are doing there. You buy out yourself, right? You cannot come back because you lost you rent yourself. And I figured when you did like a proposal contract, buyouts, or you MOUs, or capitals, or whatever. So I figured, well, when you guys do a contract, make sure you print in the black and white and dot those lines. Once you buy yourself out, you cannot come back no more. You render your position. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Snow.
Now, on the vacation hours, you may cash out up to 50 hours if you so choose. It's your option. If you want to cash out 25 hours of your vacation right now, or if you want to cash out in July, and this is a one-time provision.
Right. Thank you. Are there any other questions from members of the board?
No.
Okay. With that, do you have something, Barbara?
No, that's all.
Okay. With that, I'll accept a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt 2016-6 resolution approving the collective bargaining agreement between the County of San Benito and the Institution Association, authorizing the county administrator and county auditor to take necessary administrative actions appropriate to effectuate the purpose and intent of this action, including signing the final MOU agreement and authorizing the CAO or his or her designee to make any technical edits as later identified.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So moving on the agenda number 17, look to our district attorney.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you have any questions for me?
The way we like it, nice and easy.
Actually, I have one question. One question. Actually, I'm 100% behind it. I think the whole board agrees with me. We're behind you. We support you. Go get them. Just bring us an accountability of those dollars spent. That's all we
Most
ask.
definitely we will.
That's all I ask.
And as I'm sure you all realize, I'm very frugal, so I will do my best to keep it way under that.
Thank you,
Okay.
Candace. Thank you.
Supervisor Munzer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, Candace, do you need a letter of support from this board?
Yeah.
That would be great.
Can we
That would be
agendize that
fantastic.
as
Yeah,
early as
let's,
possible?
Yeah, let's go ahead and agendize that for our next meeting.
And what I am asking is for a copy, just in case somehow the prison board
Well,
loses it.
you're going to write it for us, and
Oh.
then we'll sign it. So you'll have your copy.
So you're directing me to write it?
Yes. In fact, Mr. Chair, let's send I know Supervisor Botello might agree with me on this one. Let's send a request to the City Council if they want to join us too. Have them write a letter.
That would be
Support.
great.
Sure. Yeah, we can certainly, in working with our CAO, we'll send a message over to the city. Let them know
And
what to do.
just give you some idea, tomorrow we're going to the prison to go through their records. Tuesday, I'm meeting with one of the victims' families in the valley, and so we're moving along on it. Plus, it's amazing how many other counties are supporting us and giving us materials and asking questions that we have. So it's everybody is uniting on this.
Good.
Are there any other comments, members?
Yeah, I just have a question on the letter. I think we all agree that that sends a more powerful message. And do we have to wait till the next meeting to have it agendized, or can we just, by board consent, authorize the chair to sign such a letter?
Yeah. The board can authorize the chair to sign such a letter, but you won't
have
see
time.
it. So.
Yeah, we do have time.
Everything is
If you
supposed to be in.
if you want to see it, it has to be
Right.
brought
I'll
back.
write the letter.
Everything's supposed to be in 10 days before the hearing. The hearing's April 7th. I want to do it at a minimum of 2 weeks, if not 3 weeks in advance, just to be safe. But
Right.
we have till middle of March.
Well, I also, giving it more board time is fine to inform the public of the, the vitalness of them being involved in this effort to keep that monster behind bars. So I'm fine with that as well.
Okay. Yeah,
I just want to make
I
sure
think it's
we're
probably
saying
best
something.
if we just agendize it for our next
bring it
meeting.
back-
We have
bring it back
time.
to the next meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
That way.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, and
Supervisor De La Cruz.
thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm making a plea to the public that's out there listening to us and watching us today. Please write a letter, send it to Candace's office, and call their office, and she'll take care of everything, all the logistics in terms of how to write it, where to write it, and all that. But we need a lot of members of the public to come and support Candace on this one mission. Thank you, Candace.
Supervisor Barrios.
Mr. Chair, I thank you. That's exactly what I was going to say, to encourage the public. I know I will be writing a letter, having lived during that time, lived in fear for myself, my daughters. It was a very frightening time. I don't want us to be back in that kind of atmosphere. It was something that I hope San Benito County will never have to experience again. So I encourage everyone out there, like Supervisor De La Cruz, write letters, give them to our district attorney, and let's send that message loud and strong.
Thank you.
That we want to keep him incarcerated.
Excellent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Are there any members of the public who wish to provide comment? Mr. Snow.
Richmond actually was first.
Okay.
I actually filled out the Obviously, Marty Richmond. Of course, I support this, and I think everybody does. But I'd like to discuss another impact on this besides the obvious, which is supporting this. I often write to the public, and I like to talk through the chair to the public. I often write to the public about basically. It turns out, something like this turns out to be a mandated expense. Although the state doesn't come down and say, oh, gee, you got to go there. The truth of the matter is you got to go there. And they don't provide any funds when they put this in position. They didn't provide any funding for us to do this. Now, we're fortunate in one aspect. It's a unique case in our domain. This is a unique case. If you live in parts of Los Angeles County, this comes up a lot more often because there's a lot more people. If you live in other counties that have more problems, for whatever reason, it comes up a lot more often because there are more people. And these are the kind of unfunded mandates, whether they're listed as unfunded mandates, they wind up to be something you simply have to do. And if you simply have to do it, it becomes, and no one else will pay for it, it becomes an unfunded mandate by default. And these are the kind of things that I would hope the board, this is a perfect example. We'll talk to our state legislatures when you go to those massive meetings, whether it's RCRC or whoever it is, CSAC, people who represent us, to talk to our legislatures and say, look, you have to think through these things. They often sound very good when someone brings up the legislation, and they sound like you're doing everybody a favor, but you have to look at it and say, what is the cost impact to the guy where the rubber meets the road? Now, we're lucky in a lot of respects. This is a single case, and we can afford it. We can afford to do it. If we had a lot of cases, and it could be a real burden, and we would do it anyway, but it would wind up hurting some other program. So I think along with the regular unfunded mandates that we see all the time saying you will spend this much money, we have this implied unfunded mandate, and I hope, I of course support it, but I do hope we talk to the state about making the money available, because they are the big pocketbook in the sky. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, Marty.
I wanted to note that I did write a comment card. And you guys see this joking matter. If you look at Facebook, Keith Snow, you see I've been on this. A murder can try and get out the bars. So let's say how they're doing it, how they write it. What I wrote to you, it said, and it's a Westrick, and the Catarusa, right? And I wrote, and the people respond back to me. It's called feedback for assistance. So you may be calling this, guys may be joking. A lot of think it's funny. It's not funny, right? How you guys think it's funny? Marty and Walt. Mark can rescue that. What we need to do a petition, create something, right? And you guys write too. And since they are writing, right? Because I'm writing too. So points, right? You guys think it's funny, right? It's not funny. But people get murdered in a Canada City. A lot of things we can do better on things. I'm serious. I take it very personal. You think it's funny. The accused law. They're not get me. The accused, you can't even see it. You're sitting on the way, see me, right? And the kid can't do that. And your things coming up here, right? You can vote this election. A lot of you guys are coming election. 3 of you guys are coming election. So points, right? You think things are funny? Not funny. We're not funny. There's a lot of things that to look into our election, how it's streamlined, right? That next I want you to put on the agenda. This agenda. So points, right? You guys think things are funny? Not funny. Things are not funny. I may be disabled, a disability with speech impairment, but I think it's personally what it really makes me really like hurt. I get failure. I want with education meeting over there. I'm not laughing matters. Work with the people, interact with connecting. Know what I'm saying? You think it's funny? The things that want the robbery is. Your wife's with the Homeless Coalition. Well, I've been looking on to you. So let's
Thank
be
you, Mr.
true
Snow. We
for
got to stay on
facts.
topic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have an additional comment. Yeah, I
That's
just
the
wanted to
best
say that the state of California actually has helped counties when there are big litigation, usually, when they have court cases. I know Del Norte received money when J.C. Dugard was found the kidnapped victim. And so I know that at this time we will probably approve and move forward, but if it ends up being a lot more expensive, we may want to consider asking for funds or help from the state of California, because it may not end here. So just a recommendation. And the other thing is that I just want to tell Mr. Snow we meant no disrespect, and I'm sure that we all agree that, so our apologies for the public record if it was misunderstood. So, okay? So, anyway, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Are there any more comments from members of the board? Okay, and so with that, I will accept a motion for item 17.
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we approve as recommended by staff.
I will second that motion.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So we'll move to our final agenda item. Item number 18. Mr. Espinoza.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, is our last item on our agenda, item number 18. As you recall, we were a part of NACO a few years back before the downturn. When the downturn occurred, we looked at ways to save money. The board did, and we unfortunately had to stop our membership with NACO at that time. More recently, NACO has a conference coming up this year in California. I believe it's in Long Beach this year. And we're one of 4 counties in the state that actually are not part of NACO. So CSAC has been kind enough to assist us this year financially to renew our membership for this year. So I think it was there was some conversations with the administration and CSAC, as well as some of our southern counties as well. So we were able to do that, and with the development and progression that our county is in, with the different projects that are occurring, we may be looking at budgeting for NACO the following fiscal year, but we'll obviously bring that to your board for board approval when that comes. But with that being said, we're coming before your board to receive these funds from CSAC to have our membership and be able to attend, in essence, this year in California.
So do we have to appoint a member of the board to represent the county?
I think it would be good and wise to, but I think probably we can come back at a later date for that.
Let's learn more, and then we could appoint a member and an alternate.
Yeah, and I think if the board recalls, I believe Supervisor De La Cruz was our NACO representative.
He was.
In the past, yeah.
In the past.
I was going to say, Mr. Chair, that some of the benefits that we got back was access to the Ed Washington and some of the programs that we brought back that actually we're still benefiting today was the prescription discount program that actually the libraries benefited from as of today and moving forward. So it would be a good idea for us to continue to move forward and join organizations like RCRC, CSAC, and other organizations that Ray attends himself and other department heads. And, we're not an isolated county anymore. And I'm actually stealing former Supervisor Red Bonacco's comments is we're not an isolated county. We need to intermingle and work and lobby other jurisdictions, organizations to get a better benefit for the community. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Are there any other comments from members of the board?
Yeah, that we may have likelihood that we'll have a California representative be the chair at the NACO level, and so that would be really good representation and lobbying for us. So this is a year that we really should be a part of it. And there's a lot of issues at the state level, transportation being one of the biggest ones, and so I think it would be beneficial. So I appreciate that CSAC has come forward.
Sounds good.
And to consider us continuing the joining and staying with NACO for the rest of the time. Yeah.
Right. So, Batella.
Yeah, I had a phone call from Supervisor Forrester, Richard Forrester. He's on CSAC, and he's been very instrumental on RCRC and CSAC, and he really urged our county to get back involved. We're a very important part of this effort for Mr. Cox. Supervisor Cox from San Diego County to be second vice president. That's a big position for California, and it's national representation to get some things for the counties here, and so I think it's absolutely necessary to get back on NACO, and in the past, Supervisor De La Cruz did bring back that pharmacy program that helps a lot of people, and I think so. It is productive to belong to these groups, so I'm completely supportive of this.
Thank you. Okay, are there any members of the public that wish to provide comment? Mr. Snow?
Second round, where I'm from, Scott Kaplan League, right for C, officials, mayors, city councilmen. So I wonder if you can send me more about that, about the Mingo thing, what you mentioned. Send it to KeysonWalmart.com, read feature, Mount Barbara. Thank you. May De La Cruz send me an email. Your chance, huh?
Okay. And with that, I will certainly accept a motion.
I will make the motion that we accept the funds from CSAC per staff recommendation.
Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Actually, Mr. Chair?
Yes?
I know it's a minor technical, but does the motion need to include that the funds will be for NACO conference, or that's acceptable, the motion as made?
I will amend that it's for the membership. Is that what you
Yeah.
wanted to say?
Yeah.
That the funds will be accepted but be used only for the National Association of Counties, which is NACO membership.
Okay. Is there a
I'll accept.
accept the amendment? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I will, that concludes our meeting.
Move to adjourn, Mr. Chair?
Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. See you guys 2 weeks from today.
Good job.
Well, how's everything? Good.